Welcome back, everybody. I am trying to get more consistent. The girls are coming home tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that. Well, they're technically coming home Saturday morning. It's going to be after midnight. But anyways, the girls are coming back. I already feel much more comfortable and happier knowing that I'm going to have my family back here. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to be talking about the auctions of the week. Now, some stuff that's already sold, some stuff that I'm looking at and that's going to end this week. Potential auctions that I think would be really good for you to put a bid in on, to check out, maybe just to watch, put on your watch list. Some stuff on my watch list that's ended, some stuff that I'm currently watching, some stuff that I have some bids on, but really have no place buying. But anyways, let's go ahead and jump straight into it. So first things first, I want to talk about one of the biggest cards that I saw in an auction end recently. You guys know that I'm working on the Gold Star set. I'm trying to complete that set. Anyways, this was a pretty big one. We had a Gold Star Espeon PSA 10. Now, I think the lowest listing right now on eBay. I'm gonna pull up another tab here. I think the lowest listing on eBay for a PSA 10 Gold Star Espeon is around 18,000. Now, I'm going to check on that right now. PSA 10 Gold Star Espeon. Believe that's okay. So there actually are two options. I'm actually surprised that there's two of these in a 10 that are even listed right now on the market on eBay alone. So there's one for 16 and there's one for 17,000. Now, that's almost twice as much as what this card ended up going for. So I feel like that's really important. Both of the certs that are on eBay currently are both 2 certs. They're both 271 certs. Very interesting. Both 271 certs. These were both submitted and graded in a similar time frame, but they're $1,000 difference. Anyways, we go back. I'm going to have one tab for searching up stuff to find stuff that I haven't even really looked for, but that I do want to talk about, that I've been pushing off for these weekly auction videos. And some stuff I will post up as an overlay so you can see a clear image. Some stuff I might show you on my computer or I might not, but I am going to talk about everything that I'm looking at. But that Gold Star Espeon went for $8,600. Now, $8,600 is almost 50% of the listed value they have for the listings on eBay. So that's kind of crazy, in my opinion. I do feel like that card might be coming back down to earth a little bit. We have sales as high as I think $11,000 for this card. $8,600 I think is right in the fair value range. I think probably $8,000, $7,000 or $8,000 is probably what it's worth. But yeah, that sold for $8,600. That was a Probstein auction. Pretty crazy. Next, that I thought was kind of weird, that I have talked about because I did want to replace my Gold Star Legendary Dogs. I said this in the live last night. Again, thank you guys so much for coming out to the live stream last night. I know it was late, but it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed it. But anyways, I am going for the Legendary Dogs. Right now, I think is a really good time to look for Gold Star Legendary Dogs, and PSA 9, the Raikou, the Entei, and the Suicune, I think are all really good value right now, considering the fact that they are abundant. Like, there's plenty of copies. I think there's like 5, 6, 7 Suicunes right now in PSA 9 listed. But anyways, the Raikou went for $465 recently. Now, this is kind of ridiculous to me, considering the fact that there's a listing for $415, and considering the fact that I just got my Raikou for, I think, $410 or $405. So I think $465, I don't know who was bidding on that, but I was hoping to get that Raikou because it was included in the trio. I ended up getting the Entei and the Suicune, and they both have swirls, and I'm super excited. I did end up picking a different Entei from a different listing that was a modern cert versus the old cert Entei and Suicune that I got. But they all have swirls. I'm super excited. But regardless, $465 seems kind of high for Raikou, but somebody was definitely willing to pay that, and I think that a lot of these Gold Stars in PSA 9, these Gold Star dogs in PSA 9, I feel like are probably worth $500 to $600 each. I feel like because we've had so many of them getting flooded onto the market, it's really hurt the value of this card. But I think this card is going to come back swinging. That's just my opinion. I know that the population is very high on these Gold Star dogs. So many of them have been graded. But yeah. Another thing is, in other news, the Chilling Rain Blaziken. I want to talk about this one because you guys know out of all of the alternate art modern cards, there's only a couple that I really like. And honestly, so I have the Vmax Rayquaza in a 10, I have the Vmax Umbreon in a 10, and those two are kind of just hype. The one that really I love the most is probably the Blaziken. Blaziken has had a nice little come down. It's a lot of modern cards are dropping in value right now. We're having a lot of craziness. I think there's like an inflated bubble going on with illustration rares. We'll talk about that probably another day, maybe tomorrow, if I can remember. But right now, a lot of alternate arts, a lot of sealed boxes are trending down. So this is awesome. This is what we want to see. I want to see these cards come down in value. I want to see them come back to earth. But we had two auctions, August 29th, August 28th. I probably could have looked up more relevant auctions, and I will do that real quick. But 385 seems like across the board what a PSA 10 Blaziken was going for. There was a minute there where it was pushing up to $500, so it's coming back down a little bit. I want to see that come back down a good bit more. Right now, I'm going to look up what that Vmax Blaziken is going for. Here we go. I don't like using eBay on my desktop. I just don't like it. Okay, these are a bunch of ones that we don't care about. 440, that was a buy it now. 440, we have a couple buy it nows for 440, so maybe that one's kind of trending back up. 400 was the most recent auction on September 13th. 400 was the most recent auction. 395, 420, boom! We had is that one Chinese? Yes, okay, never mind. Not looking at that. Yeah, it seems like it's really holding around 400, which is a bummer. I really want to see that one come down in price. Okay, here we go. We had an auction on September 8th that went for $370. Oh, that had $20 shipping, $390. Okay, Blaziken VMAX is sitting at $390. So I guess that it's not going to go too much lower than that. I've said this before, but my price for VMAX Blaziken is probably around $350. Let's look at Giratina. Giratina is another one that I really want in a 10. Giratina has grown on me a lot, and I think that the Giratina artwork is honestly probably better than every other alt art in Sword and Shield, regardless of whether it's one of my favorite Pokemon or not, which it's not really one of my favorite Pokemon, but it is growing on me a lot. How can you not love legendary Pokemon? But let's go ahead and see. Okay, so we had a recent sale, September 11th, was $700 for the Giratina and a PSA 10. I feel like it was $600 not long ago. Okay, $650. Okay, $650. Whoa. That can't be right. That cannot be right. No way. August 22, PSA 10. Is that English? It looks like we have a PSA 10 Giratina sale. It's not showing it. Okay, let's back that up. That's an English Giratina. It shows here that they're on August 22nd. Maybe this was a fake listing. This is weird. This is real weird. But there was a $450 sale for a Giratina and a PSA 10 on August 22nd. That can't be right. Okay, let's look a little bit further here. If you guys are ever looking for sales data, just put it in your filter, sold, completed listings, and it shows you all the sales data for these cards. Although it can be really tough. Okay, August 12th. Again, back in August. Okay, so the 450, I feel like that's not accurate. But August 12th, we had a sale for Giratina PSA 10 English, $630. I think that's an awesome price, honestly. I think $600 is an awesome price for the 10. Considering how tough this card was to pull when the set came out, 620. Okay, and the 9 is going for about 360. I do know that this card was really, really tough to get a 10 in, based on my buddy who's working on completing all of the alt arts and SIRs, and Giratina was one of the tougher ones for him. Yeah, 640, 630. Okay, so around 600. I think we want Giratina to come down under 600 to like the mid 500s, like 550. That would be like a really sweet spot for me personally. But again, that's what I want to pay. That's probably not what I'm going to end up being able to get this stuff for. Going back, okay, Gold Star, PSA 9 Gold Star cards. Let's look here. PSA 9 Gold Star. We'll just put in PSA 9 Gold Star. I'm giving you guys the sauce right now. That's pretty much what I use when I'm looking up information. Now I see a bunch of Japanese listings and a bunch of Celebration Greninja Gold Star and Celebration Umbreon Gold Star listings. This is really annoying sometimes because it doesn't allow me to see exactly what I want to see, which is really just English. Okay, but here we go. This was a big one. The Mew Gold Star. The Mew Gold Star, I will pop this one up right here because it is a big one. In my opinion, Mew Gold Star, there's like 6-7 listings around $1,700, $1,800, $2,000, $2,000. This one went for $1,350, guys. $1,350, that was a great deal. That was below market in my opinion. A lot of people say that like that kind of stuff can't be done. Like you're not going to get a deal way below market. Well, this person was clearly willing to sell their Gold Star Mew way below what everybody else had them listed at, which is pretty typical, but I think this was a really good deal, $1,350. I was offered this card $1,200 a couple months back, but that was a couple months back, so $1,350 is probably a really fair value on it, but again, a way better deal than everything else. Finally, a PSA 9 Gold Star Pikachu. That one I'll probably pop up as well. Went for $2,400 now. $2,400 does seem like it's a little on the high end, but a lot of the Gold Star, and this one had a swirl by the tail, which looks sick. I will pop that one up as well. But $2,400 is okay. I paid $2,300 cash for mine. So really $2,400 ain't too bad if you send it to the vault and you're not paying the sales tax on top of that. Right now, PSA is doing a thing with the vault where they're letting you pretty much withdraw stuff for free. I don't know how long this is going to last. I have some stuff currently going to the vault, my legendary dogs that I'll be swapping out. Those are at the vault right now. Well, going to the vault right now. The process does seem like it's a little bit faster than it was when they first started it, which I'm impressed by that. I want to see that get a little bit better, and I want them to realize they don't have to tax us so heavily with the fees. I feel like if they realize more people will use the vault if they don't have high withdrawal fees, I think that they're going to get more business, and I think they might change their business model to allow more people to do this, and the market will adjust for it. If the vault becomes more popular and the fees become lower, then people will probably sell stuff for less overall. I think it'll be a net positive. A lot of us really miss the old eBay vault, but I think the PSA vault could offer some promise. It's just going to take time. They're going to have to tweak it a little bit. But again, $2,400, I think in this market was a good deal for the Gold Star Pikachu. When are the Gold Stars going to stop going up in price? They seem to continuously be rising in price as I'm going after them, which is very frustrating. But luckily, we only have 3 left. The Celebi, the Umbreon, the Gold Star Umbreon, and the Gold Star Mew, which again, $1,350 would have been a great deal. Anytime I send people offers, they usually won't go lower than $1,700 for the Gold Star Mew. So $1,350 was a great deal. Anything else that I missed? Okay, yes, there was a Mewtwo Gold Star. I will pop that one up as well. That one went for $2,000. I picked mine up for $1,760. But again, that was a couple months ago. These cards continuously are rising in value. I think, and this was actually a consignment by Z&G Emporium. They supply a lot of awesome cards, a lot of awesome deals. Some of these guys doing consignment for everybody are doing a great job bringing amazing cards for amazing value to the community. So I salute you guys out there doing consignments. Catch them all. Ketchum Collectibles, Z&G Emporium, Probstein. Those are some of the names that I think about when I think about auctions and consignments that are just crushing it. But yeah, the Mewtwo for $2,000, if it's a really clean Mewtwo, I think that's a really good price. I still think that the Hold-On Phantoms Gold Star Mewtwo is undervalued right now. I think $2,000 is still a great deal. I think it's, to me, the card is probably worth more like $2,500 to $3,000. Don't ask me how I get these numbers. I look at the populations, and sometimes I feel like the price should be a little bit higher. Now, in the Gold Star Mew's case, I don't think the price should be as high as it is because the population is 450 something. That's crazy for people to try and get, $1,800, $2,000 for a card with almost 500 pop. That's kind of nuts. I think it should be probably worth around like 1,000 to 1,200. I think that's closer, value. But Mew is a very popular Pokemon, so it's going to be more sought after. The same thing with Mewtwo. Entei was sold, a Gold Star Entei was sold for $450, and a Gold Star Suicune was sold for $524. We're seeing a lot of people listed at that $524 price. This is because Goldenrod Collectibles acquired a ton of Gold Star Legendary Dogs. I don't know if Card House EU, I don't know if they supplied it to Goldenrod. I don't know how he acquired all these Gold Stars. A bunch of them flooded the market, which is why I think it's a good time to buy this card. No, I don't think because they flooded the market that the value is going to tank. I think the value is going to be stationary for a while, and then it's going to start rising again. But $450, pretty okay price. I just got mine for $390, so they paid $60 more than I did. Not bad, though. The Suicune, though, for $530 seems a little bit high. I just got mine for $430. That's $100 difference. That's a 20% discount. So yeah, that was kind of up there. I do feel like with this many Suicunes on the market, it should probably come down in price. And that's it really. There was a PSA 9 from Australia before they flooded the market kind of. Well, no, September 12th was right around the corner. And that sold for $643, which is crazy given the fact that there's several options at $520. And then we can see my Raikou that I picked up for $410. And there was a Black Label Blaster. He really sells all these Gold Stars at a premium, but more power to you. He sold a $1,900 Gold Star Mew for $1,600. So $1,600, okay. He gave a better deal than I've been offered for the Gold Star Mew. But there's mine. We did just see a Gold Star Flareon and a PSA 9. How we look? Oh, 20 minutes? Oh, we're good. We saw a Gold Star Flareon and a PSA 9 sold for $1,000. I think that was an okay deal. I paid $750 for mine, but again, a lot of these cards are going up in value. I am going to leave it at that because there hasn't been a whole lot of Gold Star action. Currently, this week, stuff that I'm bidding on, you guys know that I love theme decks. I am bidding on the first ever Gold Strip theme decks that I've bid on since I bought a fake resealed one a couple years back. So this is kind of a touchy thing for me because I haven't tried to buy Gold Strip theme decks. And okay, guys, let me just flip this. This is what I mean when I say a Gold Strip theme deck. See how it has that little gold strip on it? That's kind of what I'm talking about right there. Honestly, probably would be way easier to just show you guys what I'm looking at on the screen. And you guys, please tell me in the video, would you rather see overlays of the picture of the card that I'm looking at, or the theme decks, or whatever, or would you rather just me show you on the computer screen exactly what I'm looking at? That's so much easier for me. But anyways, I have 2 bids in for 2 Gold Strip theme decks. I would love to have those in my collection. I really don't know what they're truly valued at, but a lot of people are trying to sell them for $1,500 and up. So $650 was the starting bid. I had a talk with this guy. He's had a ton of these. He's opened a ton of these. Gold Strip theme decks are the only theme decks that guarantee that you will get shadowless cards. Now here's the kicker. The shadowless cards in the Gold Strip decks, the shadowless cards almost in any theme deck, typically they have glue stains on them, which makes them pretty much useless to grade. But the cards behind them are definitely gradable. Now, I'm not buying this to open it up. I am buying this solely for the history of the theme decks and to have that in my collection. So this is very important to me. But I have heard that tight seal theme decks that are sealed not using cellophane wrap, but are using kind of a shrink wrap, heat wrap, tight seal theme decks do tend to have shadowless. And from what this guy told me, he has had luck opening those up and they don't have glue stains on them. So that's pretty incredible. I heard the opposite, I think, from TCA Gaming at the Charlotte Collecticon. I think he said that all of the shadowless decks he's seen had glue stains on them. But anyways, some auctions going on this week. We have a Jolteon Gold Star and a PSA 9 by Giovanni Vault. Now, Giovanni Vault is a collector and a seller that I've known about for some time. Very, very serious collection. They are offloading a lot of their collection stuff. I don't know if that's indicative of anything changing in the hobby widespread or if they're just cashing out. But anyways, Jolteon Gold Star, I picked up mine for $750 a couple months back. This one is at $822 with $34 US shipping, which brings it to about $850. I wanted to put a bid in on this card and potentially have a gold star that I could put in my eBay store for sale. But this price has gotten way too high for me to consider it. But for people looking for a Jolteon, this looks like a really clean copy. So it might be worth checking that out. There is a first edition base set Mewtwo. Guys, you know that I believe big time in first edition base set. I think that it's really underrated, honestly. I know that it's basic. I know that it's like everybody and their mother has had first edition base set at some point or another in this hobby. If you've been in the hobby long enough, and it's really not that rare, it's really not that special. But the reality is that's the origin of the hobby in the US. The origin of the English TCG, that's where it all started, was first edition base set. And that's very important for me and my collection in general. I do want to complete first edition base set in PSA 9. I had a bunch of 5s and 6s and 7s, and I've since sold every single one of those cards other than this Clefairy. This Clefairy is the last first edition PSA 5 card that I have. Yeah, I'm slowly trying to go after PSA 9s. So for those of you that may want to join in on that collection goal, there is a seller Nirvana 71 is selling a PSA 9 Mewtwo base set first edition. The auction's at $1,025 right now. It'll be really interesting to see what that ends up selling for. I got mine locally for $1,300. But again, that was a ridiculously good deal. That's not going to happen to me again probably for a while. I expect fully that this PSA 9 Mewtwo will probably go for somewhere around $2,000. But I think it'd be interesting to put on your watch list or maybe put a bid in. If you're a huge Mewtwo fan, this is the auction for you. I would look at 10s, but honestly, 10s get so ridiculously expensive that I don't even know if it's worth looking at. But we might check that out too and see if there's anything on the market available. Also, the same seller is selling a PSA 9 Alakazam. Now, you guys know I really want to replace the Alakazam that I have currently with another one. Mine just has like a paneling line. It has some kind of weird line going in it. It just bothers me. Probably wouldn't bother anybody else, but it bothers me. I would rather have surface scratches on a holo than I would have any kind of paneling or indentation or weird lines. This stuff bothers me. And it's all about the structural integrity of the card. I know it's funny. It's you know, I sound like a clown saying structural integrity of a trading card, but it's true. I don't like dents. I don't like creases. I don't like any kind of lines. I don't like stuff like that. Even if it looks like it's factory, which my Alakazam that I'm trying to sell now looks like it has a factory paneling line, still bothers me. And I'm hoping if I can get a cheaper Alakazam, I can cost average my 2 Alakazams, and I can lower the price of mine on eBay, which will allow me to sell it and maybe hook someone up with a deal. But anyways, that's a good one that I would look at if you're a big Alakazam fan. It's at 860 right now. I have a feeling it's going to go for somewhere around 1,500. Lately, they've been going for around 1,500. I think it's a great time to buy first edition base set right now. I feel like stuff is just very flatline right now, and I think it's a great time to buy in. Stuff could go lower, but we'll see. Anything else? There was so Machamp Holo PSA 9. Most Machamps first edition PSA 9 are listed around 300, 400. There was an August 30th auction that I missed out on. I'm kind of bummed out about it. But it went for $248, which is right on the money. I might have brought this up on the last auctions of the week, but there was a Metagross Gold Star PSA 9 sold in auction with Z&G Emporium for $1,400. That is a lot of money for Metagross. I think I paid $1,100 for mine. So $1,400, it's crazy the spread on some of these cards. It's crazy the spread that I'm seeing, that people are willing to pay that much for these cards. If there's any PSA 10 first edition, I want to see if there are any auctions this week, anything that is sold that maybe, I'm not going to put a photo of that up, but it's full of commons just like this. And like you guys just saw those prices, like, wow, PSA 10 commons are going for 170 a piece. That's insane. 200, 180, 150. I have not seen a single, there's not a single Shadowless base set card here that in a 10 goes under $100, which is actually kind of wild. Even for something like the trainer card energy removal, $158 for a PSA 10 energy removal. Just kind of ridiculous. This is the reason why nobody's messing with vintage, because you can get a PSA 10 alt art that's phenomenal for a couple $100. Meanwhile, you can barely afford anything in first edition base. But that's besides the point. My process here is to talk about some sales. Okay, there's a Gyarados PSA 10 first edition base set that's sold in the UK for $11,800. Wow, almost $12,000. That would get you a PSA 10 first edition Gyarados, which I think is like the pinnacle of Gyarados cards. I personally think I like the Gold Star Gyarados more than any other Gyarados card, but that's still a banger of a card. Wow, and the uncommon first edition Shadowless base set cards are selling for upwards of $300. My goodness, this is crazy. Okay, so the energies. So the first edition water energy, there's one that sold for $60. So those sell under $100. Is there anything else here? My buddy graded a bunch of commons too, and he offered to sell me the Charmander in a PSA 9 first edition for like $180. I should have haggled with him, and I still can, but wow, PSA 10 first edition base set Ivysaur Shadowless sold for $760 for Ivysaur. That's crazy, guys. My mind is blown. Okay, this is good. TCA Gaming, also another big name that I should have mentioned, brings a lot of great value to the hobby. I thought that was in English, but German first edition base set PSA 10 Charizard, $13,000. I would never spend that kind of money on another card in another language like that. Foils that have sold recently, other than that Gyarados. Other than the Gyarados. Let's see. Yes, there was a first edition Shadowless Alakazam sold in a PSA 10. It was an old cert, but it was sold for $8,400. So while you guys might think, Orion, why are you talking about these cards? They are really expensive. Most people cannot afford these cards. It's still important for people to know that they are affordable. You can save money and you can set your sights on these cards and you can go after them. Just, you have to sacrifice all the little stuff along the way. But like $8,400 is not like unbelievably, like you could never afford this card. Like it's doable. And I think for me, when I first came into this hobby, a lot of these cards, especially during the pandemic when prices were wild, like a first edition Alakazam and PSA 10 during the pandemic was probably selling for 20 or 30 grand, something crazy like that. Whereas now it's 8,400. So the way I see it, it's come down to a much more reasonable price, still very inflated, still very much a large bubble in my opinion, but it's a much more affordable card now, 8,400, and you could have the ultimate Alakazam card in English. I think that's pretty amazing. 8,400. There's a lot of low cheap sales here, but I don't believe that they're legitimate. If it's too good to be true, it probably is. Okay, big one. Venusaur PSA 10. You can have a Venusaur in PSA 10 first edition for $12,600. I don't think that that's absolutely absurd. Again, this was a card that was going for $30,000, $40,000 when it was in its prime at the peak of this hobby. Poliwrath first edition PSA 10 sold for $5,400. Those were some of the biggest ones. Okay, so we had a first edition PSA 10 Gyarados I just talked about that sold for about $12,700 or $11,700, something like that. There was one July 22nd that sold for $9,900. That spread is wild, guys. The spread, like, this is where you can make some serious money in this hobby if you have the capital to inject into it. You know, you get this card for $9,900. You send it to the PSA vault, and then you flip it for $11,700. That's $1,700. Even with the PSA vault fee, you are still going to make like $1,000 at the very least off of a flip like that. That's amazing. If you're willing to have the patience and sell stuff like this, I mean, it's definitely worth the profit, in my opinion. There are people that would probably disagree and say that, hey man, like, to spend that kind of money and only make $1,000 is kind of ridiculous. But I think making 10%, even if it's in a couple of months, is a great play. So this is a little too far back. It's not relevant anymore. Another one that I want to look at, I know we're 34 minutes in, but first edition Neo Shining. Crazy. So we had a first edition PSA 10 Mewtwo. Best offer accepted from $7,300. So I have no idea what that offer was. But then there was another best offer accepted below $4,000. Massive spread. Yet again, another huge spread on some of the most popular cards in the game. I have not started going after any first edition Shining cards, but guys, when I tell you this is the next frontier for me, this is where I want to go when I kind of finish my other collection goals. I want to go headfirst into first edition Shining cards. They are phenomenal. They look phenomenal. They're classics, and they're vintage. It's definitely in the realm of stuff that I really want to collect. And some of the spreads are wild. Okay, we had a Shining Tyranitar, one of my favorite of the Shinies. I never had that one. Even the unlimited version I never had, so I would really love to get that card. I'm considering going after these in PSA 10 just to save myself the agony of buying a 9 and being unhappy with it. And because the 10s aren't entirely absurd in their cost, I'm starting to see the value in going after PSA 10s now. But it remains to be seen. I'll probably end up going for 9s, but I would love to chase 10s. Anyways, Neo Destiny Shining Tyranitar, first edition sold for $3,600. I think that was a pretty okay price. First edition Shining Steelix, PSA 10 Gem Mint, sold for $960. I think that's a bargain, honestly, to get a first edition Shining. I also really like Steelix. Steelix is a sick Pokemon, and there's a lot of holo on the Neo Destiny first edition Shining Steelix. I will try and pull up as many pictures as possible for people that don't know better, but if you're in this hobby long enough and you've been following along with me, just hearing me talk about these cards, it should be easy to know what I'm talking about. But here it is. You can see the Steelix has a lot of holo. Right? Almost the entire picture frame, the card frame for this card is hollow. So I feel like it's very hard to get that. Okay, that was a 7. That was a 7, not a 10. Okay, it's showing me a different one. I hate that eBay does this. I hate that they do this. The one that I was going to show you guys is a 10 though, and it went for $960. I think for less than $1,000 to be able to get a PSA 10 Grail like that in first edition, I think that's really dope. We had the Kabutops, Shining Kabutops went for $1,650. Exactly my point. I think Steelix is way cooler than Kabutops personally. Kabutops probably has a lower pop. I don't know anything about the populations of first edition Shinings. Maybe the population is actually really high on these and that's why they're not like crazy ballooned in price. But I just love these cards. Definitely want to add them to my collection. But yeah, $1,650. Again, Shining Mewtwo. Here we go. Shining Mewtwo First Edition is one of my all-time favorite Shining cards. I love the artwork. It's aggressive. He's got this stance. It looks cool. $37.50. I think that's like fair value for a 10 though. Okay, the first edition PSA 10 Shining Magikarp. Best offer accepted below $2,300. My guess is probably somewhere below $2,000. Whoa! And then again, guys, once again, huge spread here on the Magikarp. $1,200 sold July 18th. Now, that's us backing up a good bit. What's funny here is I have to back up quite a bit to see the sales here. There have not been a whole lot of first edition Neo Destiny, Neo Shining cards. I know there's Neo Revelation as well. Big boy, the Charizard, the first edition Neo Destiny Shining Charizard, one of the best Charizards of all time. Not my personal favorite, but I think a lot of people do consider it one of the best Charizards of all time. It sold for a whopping $14,500. Now, I know exactly who sold this. It was Gempire. I know what they bought this card for. They bought it for $9,700. That being said, the spread on this was crazy. He just made like $4,000 on this card. Now, it wasn't vaulted, so you have to take into account fees, but $14,500 from 9.7, 4,500, plus another 300, 4,800. You do the math, minus 13.25 from the fees on eBay. If we just take a rough 10% would be 10% would be $480. So let's say $600 off the top. He still made over $4,000 flipping that Shining Neo Destiny Charizard. $4,000 cashed out. Like, bro, killed it. Now, that's one of those times where I genuinely think that that's a win, because you could flip that and find this card again. First edition Neo Destiny Charizard is only worth like $9,000 to $10,000. I would not pay $11,000, $12,000, $13,000, $14,000. It's kind of similar to the Crystal Charizard. That one shot up in price out of nowhere. I don't trust it. So I think that if you're looking for a first edition Neo Destiny Shining Charizard, I think it's worth around $3,700 in a 9, $3,700 to $4,000 in a 9, probably worth around $9,000 in a 10,000 max. But yeah, that was a pretty cool one. I'll try and pop that up for you guys. Okay, one of my favorites, Neo Destiny First Edition Shining Raichu, PSA 10, $2,700. That's awesome for a PSA 10 First Edition Shining Raichu. I think that's phenomenal. Okay, we had a First Edition Neo Destiny Charizard PSA 10. Best offer accepted below $13,000. Again, so below 13. I think that 14.5 number was one of the highest I've seen for that card since pandemic. Okay, here we go. Shining Kabutops. This was an auction. This was Slab Sharks. This was a Slab Sharks auction, and it went for $1,050. So boom, huge spread. If you could pick this card up for $1,050 and then sell First Edition Shining Kabutops for $1,700, $1,600, you'd be making cash. You can do these flips with these cards. Okay, big one, July 11th. Oh man, so I stand corrected. This is actually the cheapest one I've seen recently. PSA 10 First Edition Shining Charizard sold by Slab Sharks, $9,267. Guys, that's a deal. For a First Edition Shining Charizard, if you can find one for $9,000, that's a deal. Shining Gyarados, again, so this is the big one. The big ones are the Shining Charizard and the Shining Gyarados. Those are the two heavy hitters with the First Edition Shinies. The Shining Gyarados went for 11,000 July 8th. I think it's probably worth around 9,000, just like the Charizard. Shining Noctowl sold in auction for 1,026, PSA 10, phenomenal. This one ended recently. This was for a 9. PSA 9 Shining Mewtwo sold for 1,525 via Probstein auction. That's an awesome price to pay. Shining Raichu in a PSA 9, more affordable option, 830, phenomenal. And that's all I got in terms of like big ticket Shining auctions. There really haven't been many Shining auctions either in 10 or 9. There really haven't been that many. So I think the Neo Shining cards are just about to start trending up in value. I really believe that. It doesn't quite, I'm going to have to look at the populations of these, because if the pops are super high, maybe that makes sense. But even with the pops being high on these cards, they're phenomenal. They're phenomenal. Okay, let's PSA 10. One more, guys. I know we're 42 minutes in, but PSA 10 Gym Challenge. Let's see first edition Holo. We definitely want to phase out a lot of those other ones. First edition Holo. Now, I'm going to point out the ones that I think are phenomenal, not necessarily all of them. I'm looking for auctions too. Brock's Ninetales in a 10, 370. I think a lot of these in a 10 are going to be below 400, which I think is a great value for Gym Challenge, especially with the Team Rocket set and the Gym set coming. I think that it would be wise to go after these cards. We had a Gym Challenge first edition Blaine's Charizard and a PSA 10, one of my favorite cards of all time. I love Blaine's Charizard. It is a crime that I don't have this card back in my collection. I still have the Unlimited in my binder, and I sold my graded copy not long ago, which is a bummer. But yeah, 4,400 and a 10. I think it's closer to worth around 3,700, so let's keep looking here. Sabrina's Alakazam in a 10. First edition PSA 10, 900. Okay. Gem Mint with a little gem sticker for the Blaine's Arcanine in a PSA 10 sold for $1,650. That would be a really cool card to own in your collection. Giovanni's Gyarados PSA 10, $1,000. Again, these are all first editions, so this is the peak of Gym Challenge right here. Let's see. $3,650 Z&G Emporium, once again, just bringing so much value to this hobby. $3,650 is what on August 27th Blaine's Charizard first edition PSA 10 sold for. I would grab this card for $3,600 for sure. For sure. If you like Gym Challenge and you're a Charizard simp like I am, the Blaine's Charizard is a no-brainer. Okay, huge Nidoking fan. Can't say that enough. Want this card in my collection. We didn't have time today. We'll probably talk about it in the next auctions for the week. But reverse holos from Legendary Collection are becoming something that's on my radar now. They are phenomenal. They look great. I can't say enough that I think that those are going to spike in price big time. They're already hard to find. But Giovanni's Nidoking first edition PSA 10, $550. Let's see, Koga's, no, that's a best offer. I can't accurately just decide on price for those. Okay, so we had that Nidoking sold for $550. Well, there was one not too long before that, August 18th, Z&G Emporium. Once again, they've given some of the best deals. $435 would get you that same Giovanni's Nidoking. Again, great spread on some of these PSA 10 first edition cards. There's a great spread. $435 to $550, that's a great spread. You can make some money there. Not a whole lot, but you can definitely make some money there. Again, it takes money to make money. So if you're going to spend a lot of money, you're going to have a better spread. Misty's Gyarados, that was a best offer accepted, but it's below 900 for PSA 10, which that would be an insane card to have. Here's one, $900. And then we had one that was signed by Rachel Lillis, it went for $1,250. Again, it just goes to show that the signed cards tend to fetch a premium. Again, looks like the same person also sold a signed Misty's Golduck, and they fetched a huge premium for that as well. It's almost like go to these shows, then get signatures, and then sell for a premium. That could definitely be a strategy, although I think it's a stupid one. That's a strategy. People really love their signed cards. Lieutenant Surge Raichu, PSA 10 sold for $500. There really have not been a lot of Gym Challenge PSA 10 listings. Here we go. Misty's Gyarados auction. This was July 31st. Went for $820. Koga's Beedrill, PSA 10, $660. Whoa! Okay. Slab Sharks with the win. This was the best deal for Blaine's Charizard that we probably had all year. PSA 10 first edition sold by Slab Sharks for $3,160. That was a deal. There's a great spread on that to $3,700 or $4,000. There's a great spread on that. Okay, enough of that because these are not going to be relevant. They're getting old. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. We're already way past time on this. I'll try and make sure I edit the video properly. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if there were some cards that, you know, I didn't talk about that you would wish I would have talked about more. Some stuff that maybe we can talk about in another auction video. Regardless, it feels really, really good to get out here, finally make another video, a regular video, beyond me just doing the streams. I appreciate you guys supporting the channel, supporting me, watching my stuff, leaving a comment, hitting that like button, all of it. I really appreciate it. Peace out, guys. And have a fantastic day, everybody. Most importantly, have a fantastic day.